Hello, everybody. Scott Golden, Golden Opportunities Coaching, and the Golden Opportunities YouTube channel here today, March 25th, 2018, and welcome to those of you who are new. More information about past videos and future videos at the end of this video, but today we're going to talk about the power of focus. You know, focus is one of those things that if you have a good relationship with it, you accomplish a whole heck of a lot more than you would like to, and also the value of the process of focus is extremely useful because it leads to an opportunity to refine your goals, refine your missions, so to speak, and the things that you would like to do, the opportunities you would like to have, and the objectives you would like to reach. Now, the power of focus is important because you have to use it wisely, use it in an intelligent manner for it to become maximally valuable to you as a professional or as a person in relationships or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. But there's a few things you have to know with your focus. Number one, you cannot stay in peak state of focus consistently, continually. Otherwise, you will burn yourself out. Otherwise, you will create challenges for yourself, and that can ultimately lead to loss of focus, loss of drive, loss of ambition, and some internal struggle. And sometimes it's necessary to do an evaluation really quickly on why you are taking on a certain action. Make sure that the why you have is personal. Make sure that the goal you have is broken down into segments that you feel you can master and manage. Also, make sure the things you're trying to accomplish are ultimately for your highest good and can also be replicated. If you have a focus that is not leading you in a positive direction, that is, you're focused on something that is associated with lack, something you do not have, a goal you have not yet reached, finding a new way to look at the same goal is essential in your development of a positive outcome. Because if you're focusing on what you do not have, you are more likely to quit on yourself before attaining the goal itself, thereby creating challenges. What is the power of focus? The power of focus is the understanding that you control where your mind goes. Now, the unconscious or habitual mind will take you in certain directions. The things you think about most common are coming from your habitual mind. This means that if you constantly are putting into your mind news about how bad the world is, chances are you're going to have a negative slant on, world policies, politics, religion, or other social issues. Now, if you're putting into your mind questions about how things can be changed, how they can be altered, how things can be handled in a new way, progressive mindset instead of negative mindset, then you will wire your mind towards a focus on positivity and progress rather than negativity and stuckness. And so focus is important. Where is my mind going in that unconscious space? What do I find myself thinking about without even realizing that's where I'm going? These are questions if a person is trying to control their outcomes or have more energy or have more vitality towards reaching goals that are personal, professional, or otherwise. It's essential to look at these types of things as a way to kind of gauge that level of interest, that level of intrigue, that level of ability to do the things you truly desire to do, and to see where you need to change your ideas, your concepts, and your strategy. Having a flexible focus of ways to get to a goal in multiple ways is also extremely valuable because you need to have the ability to be able to look at what isn't working and not take it personally. So often people focus on the things that they haven't yet done. Oftentimes I'll hear people say, I'm X age and I should already be married or have kids or have this much money put aside for retirement or I should have already done this or that. The standards you have for yourself from the past are completely and utterly useless in moving you into the future. And for a lot of people, that's difficult to hear. But the things that you haven't done aren't going to get done because unless you invent a time machine, you can't go back in time and redo them. So focusing on smaller, manageable, action planned goals is essential to continually making and achieving a progress that's going to lead you in a direction that you actually desire to achieve. If you have the ability to look at yourself and say, hey, this isn't working the way I'd want it to, or this isn't working the way I intended, but I can shift it here, or I can ask for assistance, or I can ask for reactive possibilities to see things in a new way, then you're creating a new focus. Every time we have a thought, we can choose whether we believe the thought, whether we need to investigate the thought further in relationship to whether it's true, false, or needs more information, or whether we want to reject the thought as something that's not going to lead us forward. So often people think, oh, this is just the way I am, this is just the way I've always been, or this is my genetics, or my family history, or my environment. However, your interpretation and your reactive space of being is something that you have complete control over, regardless of your status in life or any other pre-qualifiers. That means you can focus on moving forward, or you can focus on staying in an emotional state or a action state that is not leading you to the progress you desire. Now, is it easy? No, but kind of retooling that focus is also about telling yourself a different, new, compelling story about past events. If you do not have a different relationship with your past than you previously did, especially if you're stuck, then the chances of you finding a way to create or co-create a compelling future are significantly less than you may like for them to be or want them to be. Now, sometimes it's difficult to maintain focus when you're going through a lot of heavy emotional things or you have a lot of stressors. But stress, in and of itself, is just a preoccupation with the things that are not going according to plan or meeting the rules or expectations you have for life in general. So when you're stressed, you have to ask yourself a valuable question, and it is usually important to do this and break it down and sometimes take the action of either talking it out in an audio format or writing it out in a journaling format and ask yourself some valuable questions. That is, what isn't meeting my expectations? Then you ask, why isn't it meeting my expectations? And then you ask, what do I need to change, either my actions or my expectations, in order to recreate or to reinitiate a better relationship with momentum? Because if you have no momentum, you will not have progress. And if you don't have progress, eventually you'll go into your unconscious, subconscious, and non-active mind and just do what you've always done. How many times can you say that you've dealt with a friend or family member who says, I want to be so different, but placed in the same stressors, they'll go into a negative habit, or you yourself will go into a negative habit. Or I want to get a new job, I want to be better about the time I spend or what I'm doing with my life, and then they go back into an old habit. It's not because these individuals didn't care about how to make positive changes, but instead, it's the idea that their focus is something they can't control. And sometimes resetting focus is necessary. Now, a reset of your focus is to catch your mind when it's wandering. Now, usually your mind wanders when you're doing basically automatic or non-thought processing things, such as watching TV or listening to music, things that give you permission to zone out. Now, they have their place, but they do not have a place that's useful to you from the space of trying to achieve a new goal, except when you've done enough for that day, that week, that month, or you've reached a small plateau where you feel like, hey, I've earned the right to disengage for a little bit. And it's important to have those disengagers moments. Matter of fact, I teach clients all the time, and I work with clients all the time on every time you hit a part of your goal, whether it's losing some extra weight or meeting a financial challenge, paying off a credit card or whatever it is your goal is, every time you meet a piece of it, have a celebratable, demonstratable way that you can celebrate your progress. Because if you don't have that, then you're not going to have the compelling why to keep going. So sometimes just a small celebration of self or small celebration of what you can do is so important to keeping you engaged. If you've lost 5 pounds, not go out and eat a whole pizza, but maybe you can have that candy bar, put on a quarter of a pound, and, then do an extra workout. Or, if you've saved X amount of dollars, maybe it's okay to go get that $5 cheeseburger, or it's okay to take an extra time to watch your favorite TV show, or go to a local watering hole that has a local band that you enjoy and take a night off and celebrate yourself. Celebrating yourself is the key way, or one of them anyway, in order to maintain a commitment to your focus for the long range. Also, focus has to be done based on understanding that your why will change based on the challenges in front of you. You will have your larger why: pay off debt, get into a relationship, spend more time with my family, or whatever the case is. But the day-to-day why might be because I said I would, because I'm going to feel out of sorts if I don't, because I'm not going to like how I feel if I don't keep my word. And understand that your focus on the overall goal has to be flexible enough to go, how can I get there and still remain engaged? Setting smaller lengths of time, in other words, working out for 15 minutes 3 times a day, might be better than to say I'm going to do it for 45 minutes straight if you don't have that time, or that feels too long to you, or you know that you have, for example, fallen short of that goal in the past. Finding ways to break your goal down into focusable segments is also an essential way to create success. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't have moments where you make excuses or rationalizations to not follow through on your goal. Understand that those are going to happen, because anything that's uncomfortable, anything that's unpleasant, anything that's not so much fun, believe it or not, we like to disengage from the ability to not have to do it anymore. To not have to go to a place of like, hey, I don't want to do this, this is uncomfortable, it's not fun, it's not cool to be responsible anymore. But understand the power of your focus, and the reason behind it is what will give you that strong relationship with progress. Give yourself, too, a chartable, measurable way to look at from where you've come. Because sometimes, and most of the time, the human mind does not give you enough input about all the things that you've accomplished previously in a manageable enough way where you're like, hey, I'm really proud of me that I've done this thing, that I've lost this weight, that I've, been X amount of days or weeks without drinking, or I quit cigarettes and it's really cool. Now, not to say celebrate every second of every day, but set manageable goals where that celebration of what you've accomplished is part of that plan. Also, to understand that your reactions to all situations are allowances of possibility, nothing more. In other words, everything that happens, you control how you react, how you respond, and what you do from an emotional space. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean you have to act on those emotions. As a matter of fact, emotions, as we've spoken of in a previous audio clip, are just indicators. Positive emotions, indicators of the need to stay present moment-minded and to have gratitude. Negative emotions, an opportunity or an invitation to make changes to your thoughts, your actions, your perceptions, or the things in which you're focused upon. So, looking at those factors, it'll show you why focus is so important. Give yourself permission, as we close also, the ability to change your focus based on changing interest, changing circumstances, but do not change your focus if you can't say to yourself, my commitments to myself have changed, because most often what we do is we say, hey, I used to want to do this, but I don't want to do it anymore. It's not as important to me now. And we don't give ourselves permission to change our focus internally after we've decided to go in a different direction. The ability to do that will make you feel better about the things that you didn't complete, but also give you a new approach to what it is that you want to accomplish in this moment. Once again, this is Scott Golden. If you enjoy this video, like, subscribe, share it with friends on social media. Also, we're going to be running subscriber contests once we get rolling here on a more consistent basis. And you can follow us on Twitter as well, at PO Perception. This is Scott Golden reminding you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.